Back for another one. Today we are missing our hermano
Yo,
KGB.
is it not weird that the stuff going on in the world and the guy missing today is KGB? It's a little peculiar. It's a little suspicious.
I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm laughing at the joke.
No, guy, come on. Listen.
Very true.
I actually want. I mean, I'm pretty sure you have some subjects you want to talk about or certain things, but I actually wanted to talk about the seriousness of the shit going on in the world and being a parent.
Let's do it. You're the resident war expert too, so I think there's some stuff we can learn from this.
I mean, I don't know if we're gonna learn. If maybe I might stoke fear in people, but
well, you do that every week. It doesn't matter. That's fine.
But I mean, honestly, and I want to ask you this seriously. Like, I don't know how much you and your lady have spoken about it, or if you and the kids talk about it because you have older kids. But the truth of the matter is that we are in a situation internationally with this war in Ukraine that could potentially boil over into nuclear war.
Right.
Like it is not a far-fetched thing to say. I mean, in fact, Putin has said,
right,
he has threatened it and put his nuclear arsenal on high alert. And if you know a little bit of what's going on and you look at the situation, and I look at it from different perspectives, I follow news agencies from different countries sometimes to see what's really going on.
Yeah.
It's really, really fucking scary. And since I'm really into that shit, I tell my girl about it. And she sometimes sees that I'm a little like freaked out. And so she gets fucking super petrified. And like the other day she tells me, she's like, well, first of all, leading up to it, I'm telling her like, yo, this shit's about to go down.
Right.
And a lot of people were like in denial or didn't even know what the fuck was going on. And then I had to drink champs. I come home, I knock the fuck out after drink champs. And then I wake up and my girl's like, did you see the news? And I was like, it started, huh? And she's like, yeah, turn on. And then it was the invasion. And then the day after that, she goes to me, so what do we do? Like, what happens next? Like, what happens if there's a nuclear war? Like, what's the plan?
Right.
And I'm like, there's no plan. Like, there really is no plan for that. Like, that's it. It's a wrap. I'm not saying that.
I don't know if we're going to, well, I'll just say it. So we got cut off. I don't know if we're going to end up connecting the dots here. I don't know if it was saved, but you were talking about the invasion of the Russians to Ukraine and how that hit home at your side, your conversations with your lady, right? And she asked you, what's the plan if this shit breaks out into nuclear war? And you said,
right. And I said, there is no plan because that's it. Like, there's not much you can do. And I'm not saying that everybody would die in one fall swoop, but I'd rather be on the dead side than the surviving side. Let's put it that way.
Oh, if you get hit with radioactive shit.
No, just if a nuclear war happens, this is not the atomic bomb of the 40s in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. This is 3,000 times more powerful one warhead, and this would be thousands of warheads, if not at the very least hundreds of warheads for sure, but probably thousands that would be exchanged because it's called mutually shared destruction. What is it? What do they call it?
The fuck?
That's the type of warfare that nuclear war is. It's meant to say like, okay, if we see someone launch, then we're launching. We all know we're all like, if we're gonna die, you're gonna die.
Oh,
that's what nuke war ends up being.
It's the end of the world, basically.
Basically,
yeah. Most of it.
No, it is, because if you don't die in the actual explosions of the actual bombs, you will die from radioactive fallout. You'll die from nuclear winter, which means that those big plumes will cover our atmosphere and not let the sun in for months at the least, maybe years, I don't know. And then everything dies in terms of food and anything. The water is going to be radioactive. So yeah, it's like you'd have to maybe live in some mountain somewhere that maybe you fucking survive.
Right.
Anyways, point is that it's fucking gloom and doom. And as a parent, like if it was just me by myself or me and my girl, like I wouldn't stress shit so much. Like I'd be like, I did my life, boom, I'm good. But having kids and seeing that kind of stuff that is potentially could happen, it's fucking stressful, man.
It is. I mean, there's no denying that. We don't talk about it. So I think your question originally was like, do we in my household talk about it? We don't go in that deep. I think the most gloom and doom we've discussed with respect to what's going on in that part of the world now is the likelihood of excuse me, of World War III. Right? Just as soon as they step foot into NATO territory, it's just about to go global out this motherfucker.
But that's nuclear war. There's no
right. Yeah.
Like so and I don't want to fuck you up. And I was telling my boys yesterday.
Oh, you already did.
Because a lot of people around me, and I would imagine most Americans for the most part, they just really don't tune into this stuff. They tune it out. They don't know a lot of the history behind it. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on all the history, but I bring myself up to speed quick, and I know enough already that I can bring myself up to speed quick.
Right.
And it helps you understand what's going on. And you can kind of like make assessments, like calculated assessment of what potentially could happen. And so I was telling my boys, I was watching, I watched a lot of Indian news coverage. And there was one interview with two retired generals from India. And they were saying how, they were talking about the whole situation. And then one of the generals said that they had trained, they actually have a relationship with Russia, right? Indians. And I don't know if you know, in the UN at the Security Council, they basically said no I don't know what the wording is.
They abstained.
They didn't side with us, and they didn't side with the Russians, but by not siding with us, right, being kind of an ally of ours, they basically sided with the Russians. So, and that's because they have a long relationship with them economically, I would assume, more than anything. But obviously militarily, because the general was saying that they had done military games with them.
Okay, yeah.
Like, so war games where they trained together and stuff. And the dude was like, he plainly said, look, the Russians, they train to use their nuclear weapons. Like, they train to use them because they will use them. Like, the guy was like, no doubt about it. They will use their weapons of mass destruction. And so then you start to look at other things that are scary. So of course, the reason why we haven't gone into Ukraine, anybody's like, oh, we need to go fucking over there and fuck up nah, bro. That's it. World War III. And that's what Putin said. If you guys come in, right, which is already scary because there's a little rhetoric from the Russians saying that the sanctions is already an act of war. Mm-hmm. Think about it. You strangle them. Yeah. What one of the things that I was watching said, I don't know I think it was a dude from China talking, one of their politicians. And he basically said that the rhetoric, okay, it's one thing to do sanctions, but it's another thing, the rhetoric that you attach to the sanctions. Like, a lot of the people in NATO are saying, we're going to we're going to strangle you.
Yeah.
It's like, do the sanctions, bro, but shut the fuck up and just let the sanctions work. Like, we don't need an escalation by rhetoric, bro. For that, I'd rather we just go to war then. If you're gonna fucking get us all killed by talking shit, And so the thing that's worrisome is that we put a bunch of NATO troops on the border of Ukraine and Russia that are NATO countries, and they're trying to create back channels with the Russians, which is a real dicey thing too politically, because they want to make sure that the Russians know exactly where the NATO forces are, so they don't accidentally bomb them. But it's dicey politically, because by creating that back channel, it sends a message that you kind of condone what they're doing.
Right.
So it's like weird, but that's how close we are to World War III. That if the Russians even perceive a movement on the border to be an offense, right, they're gonna bomb. Or if they miscalculate and think that those are Ukrainians and not NATO because it's so close, and they bomb, that could start World War III. So it's pretty fucked up, man.
I feel like there's no win at the end of the day with this shit, because, like, on the one hand, Russia's trying to, grow their landmass and become a bigger continent almost, right? So, like, Okay.
or take back what they had before. Not
Right.
necessarily
Right. Right.
grow it,
Regain.
but
Right. Right.
right, regain their
Uh,
losses.
and then that, I mean, so Latvia is next, and there's a whole bunch of other countries that are likely going to be in the path here, right?
If they're not in NATO, for sure.
Right, for sure. But even still, I could see the, like, let's assume they do take over Ukraine. I could see them having the balls to be like, all right, fuck that. I don't care if you're in NATO. You guys were ours.
At least not from what I've been watching. There's like the Russians are pretty they are crazy in that sense that they're like they're taking us on the brink.
Yeah.
Right. But if you try to like look at it, from their point of view, they're just basically saying like NATO's been creeping on us. We need to stop anybody that hasn't become NATO. We need to make sure that doesn't happen.
Right.
So that's basically what they're doing, and there's other economical reasons like what these countries have that they need, add to their oil reserves, all this different shit. But mainly, from what I've been seeing, it's the NATO expansion. And so they'll only go to countries that are not NATO because they know at that point, then you really don't give a fuck. Then you're just like, let's just go to nuke war, So I don't think they're gonna try to go beyond Ukraine and into NATO. I think there's I forget, there's a country under Ukraine that's not NATO.
Yeah, I forget. No,
that one
is not it.
No, but Belarus is their partner. But there's one under it that I was watching something that they said that the president of Belarus fucking accidentally leaked that the plan is to get that country too, because he had like a press conference where he had a big ass map with a stick, and then it showed that country in like the war plans.
What? Yeah, let me ask you this, because like you hear the news around the demonstrations in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
People opposed to the war. If you believe U.S. media, they're telling you that the Russian soldiers that are even kind of marching toward taking over Ukraine are even like half stepping, around taking action, right? I don't know. So I don't know how much I buy it, because again, it's U.S. biased media, right? So that's in their interest. They want to make it seem that way. How much weight does that, in your opinion, give Russia from back? Like to have Russia back off, their own people saying, "Yo, we don't want this."
I don't think it does anything. Not for as long as Putin and his government is in control, because remember, these are basically dictatorships, and he feels that he knows what's right for the country.
Right.
As he's thinking long term. A lot of these countries are not like us. The way that they strategize and look at the world, they look like China has a long game. They'll sit and wait generations for shit to happen. I feel like to an extent, Russia too. Like they'll. So I think the way he looks at it is like, yo, I run the show. You guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You guys are my kids. Shut the fuck up. I'm gonna spank you. Let's keep it moving. And you can't really. I'm sure that there are Russian soldiers doing what they're saying, but you can't take these things as these isolated stories as the whole, because look at how much we heard about in the Vietnam War, all the protests with the soldiers, but the war went on for years. It happens in all wars. There's people that change sides. There's people that protest. Like, it happens. But at the end of the day, if the tops keep moving the fucking chess pieces forward, the shit's going to keep moving forward. The only thing that I think that could potentially slow it down, besides the sanctions, is China really telling Russia to chill out, because China has.
Do you think they would?
There's a lot of. I mean, I want to get back to fatherhood and this shit, but I'm watching a lot of things, and there's a couple things that have happened. China obviously has their eye on Taiwan and is looking at to see how this plays out for Russia, to see how the world reacts, to see basically what's going to happen when they take Taiwan. But I do think that the Chinese, they prefer to take over by economic ways. Like they're, everything that's happened with China has made them a huge economic power, and to protect their interests, they've grown their military. So it would be like self-destructive in terms of their strategy worldwide to like have world dominance through economic power. If like the world goes to war, it goes to shit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they have debts in all these different countries that they, that people owe them money. They have relations with Europe, even with America. There's a lot of economic stuff happening. You go to World War III, this is a wrap. They don't win either. So I just think that they're gonna hold out, and they're not gonna do anything in public to shame, because Russia's kind of like their ally right now. They made a pact before this started. But I think that if it gets too crazy, they're definitely gonna step in and try to fucking do something to like. But they've said straight up, whatever happens is it's got to be in favor of Ukraine, like in favor of Russia, in the sense that Ukraine doesn't join NATO.
Oh, okay.
And the problem is that the Western powers are saying we can't promise that. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is where we're at in the world, and this is what sucks about the world. Everybody fucking is macho. Like, this is when I say to myself, how can anybody in government or policing or in anything sit there and diss the hood for gangbanging, for shooting up blocks, for retaliation on the homies, but we do that on a world stage all the time. Grandstanding macho bullshit that gets everybody killed.
Right.
And that's where I feel like not for nothing, man, like Ukraine, it probably cannot become NATO, bro, because that's where it's all going to go down. If it becomes NATO, it has to become a neutral state. I don't know. I don't know any other way around it. And that's only one thing. I'm sure that it's going to be difficult now because this shit's so crazy, but let's dial back to the fatherhood side of this.
Yeah.
Besides being worried for my kids having a fucking life, post apocalypse, even also as a father watching, the news of the Ukrainian families and kids, being subjected to war and kids being killed or maimed. So that's just fucking heart wrenching, man, to see that shit. And what's crazy and what makes me sometimes get chills is that, they were in denial that this was going to happen in Ukraine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were in denial. They actually were telling the U.S. to shut the fuck up because the U.S. kept telling them, it's about to happen. It's about to happen. It's going to happen on this specific day. And it didn't happen on that specific day. So like, we told you guys to shut the fuck up already. Like, stop hyping it. They thought we were hyping it. And then it happened literally the day before. And I'm watching interviews with civilians where they're like, man, one day it's a normal day and I wake up and it's war all of a sudden. And we weren't prepared.
Yeah.
And so they didn't prepare rations. They didn't prepare emergency plans. So there's a lot of people saying now the next humanitarian issue in Ukraine for the civilians, besides being bombed and killed by the war machine, is starvation.
Mm-hmm.
The basically the Russians could starve the people into submission. And so there was one dude saying he has a 3-year-old. I saw another one with a 2-year-old. They're like trying to put headphones on the kids watching devices so they don't hear bombs and not telling them that there's a war. Like that's freaky to me, man. That to have to have kids in that situation.
I try to, just bringing it back home, I try to have my kids understand what's happening, but I play it kind of in the middle because I don't want them to get too deep into it and get afraid, right?
Right, and they shouldn't.
But like for instance, my 15-year-old, she's heavy into TikTok and like that's her entire world outside of like walking to school and walking back. Like that's where she spends a lot of her time. And I'm like, yo, this is one of the negatives of you spending so much time on social media like this, right? Because you have no idea what's happening around you and what that impact can potentially be to our daily lives. And, we sat down and we had a conversation about it. I was like, yo, look, you see this conflict over here? This is like a moment away from turning into World War III. And I didn't get into the nukes or anything like that, but I did say, like, what do you think happens if a global war happens? You just studied World War II. Like, do you remember what the fuck went down there? And we started to connect the pieces. It was freaking her out because my daughter's also a worry wart. Like every little thing like freaks her out. But I'm like, yo, this is real life. Like this is how governments operate, countries operate. And then we're the victims at the end of the day based on the decisions that our country leaders make, right? So the same, we didn't get that far, but the same thought hit me. I'm like, yo, so what's the plan? If in fact shit goes sideways, like how do we survive?
All right.
And I don't fucking know. Like you got the people that have been packing like I forget what the bunkers and shit I forget what they're called, the group of people that believe in all that, but like they're readier
Right.
than I might be, and
The
maybe
doomsdayers? No.
yeah. And they got what is it, the bugaboo or not bugaboo? What is it, the boogie bag? Whatever. You got one of them
Boogie
shits,
bag.
don't you?
Yeah,
Boogie bag, but or bug out bag, I think it might be. Anyhow,
I do. I gotta update it. A bug out bag. You're right. You're right.
bug out
I
bag.
do have one, but I have to update it though.
Like I might fuck around and have to go get me a bug out bag now just to try, right? But I mean, you're not talking to your kids about any of this stuff. No, well, not your kids. Your daughter probably would be the closest, but even her, like,
No, bro, I would never
yeah, there's
even
no
do
point.
that. Never, never, never. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, shit, just even talking to my boys, I see the worry when I tell them, and they're grown as men, and I'm breaking it down to them the way I'm, hearing and seeing things, and they're just like, my boy, my boy Paul, he's been a guest on the show,
Yeah,
Drink Champ Sports. He started drinking. I started telling him, and he just started pounding down beers. He's like, "Yeah, I need some drinks right now."
it's hard though, bro, because I don't blame anybody for like turning it off. Like I try not to watch the news, but when shit like this is going down, I have to pay attention.
I could tell you that I I I turned it off for a good period of time from yesterday to today, and my mood changed for sure in the positive.
Yeah,
But the minute my eyes open in the morning, I want to check the news because I feel like there's something that's happened. Because I think it's daytime while it's nighttime
yeah.
in that time in that part of the world. So a lot of things are happening, even though most of the war shit's probably happening at night. But anyways, yeah, man, it's just crazy, man, and yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think sometimes.
I don't know, but look, let's switch gears for a second, okay?
Yeah.
So you know that my youngest daughter has been dealing with eczema. I
Hmm.
sent you guys some pictures, a couple pictures.
Yeah.
So the worst of it was 3 weeks ago now, roughly. Like it was like open sores is what she had on the backs of her legs.
Jeez.
Her up and down her legs, it was just
She's itching a lot, like scratching a
oh,
lot. Is that
she
what it
was
is?
scratching like crazy. And they tell you not to because it makes it worse. But how do you tell that to a 5-year-old kid? Like, yo, you gotta
Right,
stop.
right.
They can't control it. So we've been battling. We finally went to I was gonna say a skin doctor. What do you a
Dermatologist.
dermatologist, and they prescribed us some creams. Like it was like one that was like specific for the cuts that she was having, and then one that was more like a thick lotion. Yo, it's been 2 weeks since we started. Yo, the change is dramatic, bro. Like I am shocked. Like we thought we had this shit under control. We talked about this a while ago. We had it under control with like over the counter stuff for the most part. This stuff that we got now,
It's probably
I
like a
mean,
steroid, though, right?
I'm not sure. I don't think it is. It's more like a diesel ass cream. It's really thick. And yo, I mean the challenge is it's white. So like when it comes on, like it gets on their clothes and stuff like that. So it can be a
Right.
little annoying, but like it has made such a difference for her. And now she's at a point where like it doesn't even itch, but we're still doing the maintenance to make sure that shit just dries up and doesn't, have any more issues. So like, yo, I'm so thankful because we were at our wits' end. Like we didn't know what the fuck was going on.
So you hadn't gone to the dermatologist up to this point?
Nah, man, we
I
hadn't.
thought for sure you had already.
Nah, because to a certain point we had it under control and we just never thought about it. We were just like, all right, this in our head it was like, yo, we just gotta hit it with creams. We gotta find a cream that works and just keep doing that.
Right.
Not really fully understanding the extent of what she was dealing with. And I think when we got like a bitter blast of cold up here is when the shit just started to flare and go out of control. And from there, we were like, all right, we got to get professional help because this shit ain't working. So I'm happy to report she's doing a lot better. I'll probably post some pics on like the
Yeah,
gradual changes.
you have to post what the medication is
Yeah. Yeah. I'll put that up there too.
and just the steps you took so that if anybody's having that problem, they go to dermatologist, get it prescribed because it
Yeah.
has to be prescribed, right?
Yeah. It was prescribed. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I haven't really paid attention to how bad my daughter's eczema. I know my son has a little bit of eczema. I know my daughter's scratching a lot, but it just visibly it doesn't seem like it's as bad as it was before. So, but my girl for sure is on top of it.
Yeah.
So I gotta find out.
Yeah,
That's
bro.
good, brother.
What's up with your kids though?
Dude, bro, didn't I hit you guys up about my son and the craziness in that week? Yeah, I did. Remember I told
Maybe.
you? Yeah, about the piece that he ate,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
about the stuff in his diaper, like all that crazy
Yeah.
shit that happened.
Yeah.
And you froze. And you're back.
So yeah, so he has swallowed a tiny piece of a plastic spoon, right?
Well, we don't know that he swallowed it for sure.
Got
But
it.
I gave him a plastic spoon, one that comes with like a takeout meal.
Yeah.
And he throws the spoon on the table, and I look at the spoon after a few minutes, and there's a chunk missing in the spoon. My girl freaks out. We both freak out. Takes him to the emergency room. Well, we call a hotline on his insurance card, and they're like, take him to the emergency room just to be safe.
Yeah.
And they did the X-rays, but then they're like, oh, the X-ray may not see it.
Thanks.
It's like, what the fuck is the point then, you know? And so they didn't see anything in the X-ray. And then they were like, I told my girl, I was like, I feel like the stomach acids would make it small enough that he could shit it out, no problem. And she was like, no, it doesn't do it. And the doctor said, yeah, the stomach acids, if it's in the stomach, it'll probably bring it to a point where he could just shit it out. And they said just to look out for the color of the stool to make sure there's no internal bleeding.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know the color would be green.
It could be green.
It would be green.
It would definitively be green.
Yeah, because your blood is what color is our blood in our body? Blue.
Yeah.
And then
purple, blue. Yeah.
And then when mixed with brown shit,
it
becomes green.
That makes sense.
That was news to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that shit. Okay.
Which fucked me up because all of a sudden my daughter takes a shit the other day and it's fucking a big ass green mojon. And I'm looking at my girl like, do we gotta worry? Do we gotta worry about this? What does she eat?
No, she just had a bunch of broccoli.
Yeah. So I freaked out because all of a sudden I know this. You know? But anyway,
for you guys at home, just make sure it wasn't a big vegetable day at your crib.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to fucking freak you out. Nuke war and green shit. But and then the other problem that he had that week, and he woke up really, really bad fever. He looked super down. My son is super hot, like happy and playful and hype and makes noises, and he's in the morning, he's a really a happy kid and
morning person. Yeah.
And he just looked like down, and his eyes like were closing to the point where I was so scared because I felt that his body was so warm. To see him closing his eyes like made me think something really bad, and I'm like, wake up, like I'm damn near slapping his face. Like I didn't do that, but I was like, wake up.
Yeah.
Keeping him awake. And then I opened his diaper up, this first diaper of the morning, and he has like these little brown speckles on the diaper and like a little brown piece of something like on his balls. And I clean it up. It looks like little poops, but it didn't smell like anything. And it was all by the area, not by his ass.
Front
it wasn't
part.
It wasn't on his butt part. So, and I cleaned his butt and there's nothing. So we took him to the doctor for that. And the doctors, checked his urine. His urine had a little bit of a high protein.
Oh.
And then, so then they wanted to check him a couple days later. And what was most important is that his fever had went down. That was the most important part. And then we took him a couple days later, and his urine was fine. Everything was fine. And that stuff stopped after like 3 diapers. It was like gone. Like it kept fading. The first one was bad. Second one was a little bit. And then the third one was like very small amounts of it. So we have no clue. The doc had no clue what the fuck that was. They're trying to say it was probably poop. We don't think it's poop.
But it was in the front part of the diaper too.
Yeah. And my girl took that shit to the nose, like damn near sniffed it like it was cocaine. And she said it didn't smell like anything. So I didn't dare to go that far. But yeah, and then
he's been good.
Yeah, he's been good. And that happened first. And then the spoon thing happened when we told the doctor about the spoon thing too. The doctor was like, man, you guys had a hell of a week.
And then you should tell him what you tell me all the time. Yeah, doc, you haven't been any help.
But yeah, so that happened, and then my daughter, she's still dissing her brother and being foul to her brother. I don't know when that's gonna change,
bro.
So like today we had an incident. She woke up in the morning. It's the morning is it's either way. It could go either way. But she comes down. She's like every morning. She's like demanding some kind of a treat, some kind of she wants a snack of some sort. A treat. And then if you, God forbid, you say no or you hesitate on saying yes, she goes full fucking tantrum on you. So we're like, yeah, you're gonna get your treat. So we're walking to the kitchen. My son's already up. He's a happy guy. He's running around. He's happy to see his sister. He's like, jumping around. Still not talking with. That's another issue. Mm-hmm. And then we tell her, hug your brother, say good morning and hug him. And she's like, no. And then my girl's like, well, you're not gonna get a treat then. We're like, just hug him. No. Hug him. No treat. I want treat. Yo, goes bananas, bonkers, God. Crazy. And then finally, when the tantrum is getting over and she realizes she's not going to get a treat, she's like, all right, I'll do it. She goes to hug him. And then he's like, hands out, like, no, get away. And then she freaks out again. Oh, my God. He
doesn't love me now.
It's wild, bro. It's wild.
Damn, son. That sucks, man. Why is it so bad? Like, by now, I would have for sure thought it would have been fine.
Yeah, no, it's not fine yet. I mean, I feel like it's gotten better, but it's like really snail's pace of it getting better. But I feel like it's a little bit better than it was before.
De madre. Well, Kay, we miss you, bro. Hope you come back from wherever you are soon.
No, it's not. We're going to turn my stem player on.
Yeah, why don't you do that? Why don't you take us out with a little stem?
A little stem? Let me see. It should look like it came from a UFO and shit.
Yeah, so that new Kanye album, our friend EFN has bought the little the speaker pod joint with the album in it. He's gonna play us a little rendition.
That shit don't turn on, bro. Come on, talk to me, Kanye.
You didn't charge your shit, did you?
I did. Just don't know what the fuck I'm doing with this shit yet.
It's just so far ahead of its time. You ain't ready. All right, maybe next episode. I
feel sorry for my mama and them.
All right, y'all. Till next week.
Peace.